We are back, WCTV's only sports debate show, right here on Plead Your Case. My name is Joe Venzel, and I will be your host for this episode. Today, we'll be talking about a plethora of topics that have to do with, first, the World Cup. We're going to make our picks out of the group stages and our overall winner in the World Cup. Our second topic is moving over to baseball, and Pete Rose wants to be in the Hall of Fame again. Should he or should he not? We will debate that topic right here on Plead Your Case. And our third topic will be coaches' challenges, whether they are right or wrong in the different leagues, in the different roles that they have. Don't go anywhere. It's time to plead your case. Our first topic here on Plead Your Case is going to be the World Cup. We're going to make our picks out of the group stages, and overall, we are going to pick who our winner is. And now I will introduce my panel, Tyler Zeman and Meg Berry. Guys, thank you for joining me today. And we're going to go through the letters, A through H, on the different groups, and you get two winners out of each one. Tyler, we're going to start with you. Group A, Qatar, Ecuador, Senegal, and the Dutch.
Well, I think Group A, the easy pick to win this group is definitely going to be the Netherlands. Between Ecuador and Senegal, I think it'll be very close between the two, but I do like Senegal. I think they do have one of the best goal scorers in the world right now in Sadio Mane. For Bayern Munich, he's been on fire, coming off an injury, so we'll see how that impacts him. But I think if the rest of the team can also stay healthy, they might be able to make a little bit of a run, but again, they just have a lack of depth, but I think they're good enough to get out of this group.
I like the Senegal pick. Sadio Mane, one of the greatest soccer players in the world right now, being world-class at Liverpool and now at Bayern. But Meg, moving on to your picks.
I agree with you, Tyler. I'm going to have to go with the Netherlands. Easy to win this first group with them. They have a lot of talent on their team. Pretty much too much talent to not win an easy way. They have their defense led by Virgil van Dijk, and their midfield led by Frankie de Jong. And those two players themselves are powerhouses, and they really do a great job of leading this team. But I'm going to have to go with Ecuador. They just have some really fast players, and they're really good at controlling the ball, and they take that to their advantage. And when you have a fast player who can control the ball and go downfield fast, you get ahead right away.
Absolutely. I love the Dutch pick. One of my favorite teams in the World Cup right now. But moving on to Group B, England, Iran, the great United States of America, and Wales. Tyler, your two picks.
Well, again, I think England is the easy pick here, but it's really a toss-up between the United States and Wales. These two teams are pretty much level on paper when you look at it. I do have Wales getting out of this group, though, just for the simple fact of the United States in their last two friendlies just put on a terrible showing, lost both of those friendlies to Japan and Saudi Arabia. It's very hard to turn your form around, especially as a national team, just not having a lot of practices and stuff building up to this. And they're going to see Wales first, so I think that will also have an impact on how they perform coming out of the gates. I think Wales will just be ready for it, and they'll go through in Group B.
Meg?
I agree. I'm definitely going to have to go with England. They're an easy team. They're loaded with plenty of players. They have the experience too in the World Cup, which just helps with the experience, and the experienced players, you have that chemistry and you're just better off to succeed. But I'm just going to have to root for the home team. You got to root for USA in this situation. Yes, they haven't been performing as well as they could be, but I'm always going to root for the home team, so I'm going to have to go with the United States.
Group C, Argentina, Lionel Messi's last World Cup, Saudi Arabia, Poland, and Mexico. Tyler?
Well, I think, again, just like all these groups, there's pretty much one great team that's going to go through. I think Argentina will win Group C by a landslide. And then I think you got to go Mexico to get that second place and to get into the next round. Mexico has one of the best World Cup goalkeepers in the entire world. Ochoa, he always goes off in the World Cup. He literally, he's built for the stage. He's such a great goalkeeper when it comes to tournaments. I think that defense is really going to help Mexico get through, and that's why they'll get the second spot.
Meg?
I completely agree with you, Tyler. Argentina, one word, Messi. They have Messi. It's his last cup. He's going to be going all out this year for his last cup, and I just truly think that is going to be one of the main reasons that they succeed, and I'm going to have to go with Mexico as well. They don't have Raul Jimenez, but they still have that really good connection on the field, and I really think that they'll be able to make up for it in other places.
Group D, France, Australia, Denmark, and Tunisia. Tyler?
Well, France, I think, wins this group again by a landslide. And the second best team, and I don't think it's really close, is Denmark. I like Denmark to get out of here. Australia, they've been up and down. And Tunisia, they haven't been great either. So, again, I think it's pretty clear the two teams that will go through, it'll be France and Denmark.
I completely agree for those two reasons. France, it's a pretty easy pick there. And Denmark, they have 30 goals scored and only 3 conceded. But that stat alone, that is extremely impressive. And I cannot see them not succeeding in this first round to get out of the groups.
Group E, Spain, Costa Rica, Germany, and Japan.
Well, I think you're going to be surprised by the team that I picked second to get out of the group stage. But I like Germany to win it. But I like Japan to go into that second spot and make it into the knockout stage. I think the way Japan plays, it'll be tricky for Spain, considering that their form has also been up and down coming into the World Cup. Japan, they like to sit back, and then they really like to hit you on the counterattack. I think that's something that Spain will struggle with, and I would like to think that Japan could get a point off of Spain and clinch that second spot.
I agree with you with Germany, but I'm going to have to disagree with you with Spain. I think Spain, yes, they're on a bad streak right now. They haven't really been performing the way that they've known to perform. But I think they can make it out of this bad streak and just beat Japan and make it out of this group stage.
Group F, Belgium, Canada, Morocco, and Croatia.
Well, I like Belgium. A lot of people have been sleeping on Belgium, but I think quality-wise in their starting 11, they're filled with quality all throughout the field, and they have some good players coming off the bench. I like Belgium to win this one. And then I like Croatia. I think Croatia is also a team that a lot of people have been sleeping on. They always tend to do very, very well in the World Cup. They're always popping up in the quarterfinals and the semifinals, and they always somehow find a way to get like a signature win to get them into that position. I think they'll be sneaky good down the stretch, and I like them to get out of the group.
I agree with you. I feel like Croatia is almost like the underdog here. They're hidden. People don't really see their talent. But in 2018, they lost to France in a very, very close game in the finals. And like you said, Tyler, they have always made appearances in the finals and the semifinals. And I definitely think they have a good chance of making it the whole way this year.
Luka Modric, one of the greatest Croatian players in the world as of right now, and has been for a good half of this decade, I should say. But Group G, Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland, and Cameroon. Tyler, with the favorites in Brazil.
Yeah, I like Brazil a lot, especially in this group. I think they have 3 pretty easy matchups to put themselves into the knockout stage. But I'm going to take Switzerland as the second team to get through. Serbia has one of the better strikers right now coming out of the Premier League in Mitrovic. But I just think the defense is what's really going to hurt them. I don't think they're going to be able to score enough goals to stay in games, and that's why I have Switzerland going through.
I have Brazil and Switzerland as well. Brazil has 5 world titles. That's an amazing chip on their sleeve already. So with that confidence boost and just that experience already in the World Cup is just a great booster, and they're just a powerhouse team. And I have Switzerland simply because they have a lot of experienced players. They have a lot of players who've been playing for decades, and with that experience and that connection through their teammates and the experience of playing through the World Cup, I just really think they're not going to be able to get stopped.
Absolutely. And moving on to our final group, we have Portugal with crybaby Ronaldo at the helm, Ghana, Uruguay, and South Korea. Tyler.
Well, coming into the World Cup, I actually had Portugal winning this, but I think Uruguay is actually going to top this group just because of the drama that has happened in the past in the recent days with Ronaldo and Portugal. There's been videos released that some of the teammates in the Portugal locker room aren't really tagging along with Ronaldo. There's been some kind of division in the locker room, so I think that will definitely hurt them. And with Korea Republic and Ghana also being in that group, Korea, I think, as a team, they have Son and they have a lot of pace, and I think that could hurt Portugal. I still like them to get out, but I think they will probably have a tougher time just because of the division that Ronaldo has kind of created in the past couple of days with what he's done.
I'm going to have to go with Uruguay simply because of the same reasons that you said. They are a physical team, and that in the best way possible, they are a physical team. But I'm going to have to go with Portugal. Yeah, there's been a little bit of a division and drama going on, but you can't deny that Ronaldo has skill. He does, and he's a skillful player, and that's just the way that it is. He's shown that for years upon years. And yeah, there's division, yeah, there's drama, but I think that team, being a team, is going to do whatever they have to do to win and put that drama aside to win.
Absolutely, Meg. And we're going to stick with you for our final part of this segment. Quickly, your overall winner of the World Cup.
So I'm going to go Spain. I don't know too much about soccer, but I'm going to go with Spain because I took Spanish for 2 years in high school, so I'm going to go with Spain to win.
Fair enough.
For my champion, I don't like France enough for them to repeat. I would go Brazil just because, again, I think they're one of the best teams with World Cup experience and also how deep they are. But no team going into the World Cup ranked number 1 in the FIFA rankings has ever won. Brazil is number 1 heading into the tournament. I think that curse will continue. I don't think they will win. So give me Argentina. Messi's last World Cup. He's going to go out on top, win the World Cup, and then obviously go into the soccer history books as the best player to ever play the game.
I like the pick. I like the picks, guys. I do. And for mine, I'm going to have to go simple. I'm going to have to go with the French boys. You know, they're at the top of their division right now. They're a very good team. You know what? I don't care. I don't care about the Poles. Give me the Dutch. Give me the Netherlands all the way. No doubts about it. Virgil van Dijk is the greatest football player to ever walk this earth. Nigel de Jong is world class. Give me the Dutch. But that's going to be the end of our first segment. Moving on to Pete Rose after this.
Welcome back to the NFL Pick'em mini segment here on Plead Your Case, where 2 contenders go head-to-head in a battle of NFL predictions to see who will survive another week. I'm your host, Haley Ryan, and gracing us with his presence today is the defending champ, Logan Arblaster, who defeated Ethan Spazarski last week. He has a new challenger today on the panel in Ryan Martin. So best of luck, boys, and we're going to start with the Thursday night football with the Tennessee Titans at Green Bay Packers. Logan, since you're the defending champ, we're going to throw it to you first.
Thank you, Haley. Yeah, A-Rod did pull off an impressive comeback win on Sunday night against the Cowboys, but I think his lack of receivers and the lack of receiving core they have there in Green Bay, an inability to make a trade at the trade deadline for a good receiver is what ultimately is going to stop them from consistently winning games. So, and plus I think Derrick Henry is just like simply unstoppable. So I'm going to take the Titans in this game over the Packers.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take the Packers in this one. Aaron Rodgers and Christian Watson are going to connect for over 100 yards again for this week against a terrible Titans defense. And Derrick Henry got stopped for under 75 yards last week. I know the Packers don't have the best run defense, but I do believe they'll stop him for under 100 yards this game.
Moving on to our Sunday 1 o'clock games, we have the Chicago Bears at the Atlanta Falcons. Logan, who do you got?
Yeah, the Falcons had a tough time even stopping P.J. Walker in the Panthers offense, so I think it'll be even harder for them to stop the Chicago Bears this Sunday. I think Justin Fields has been progressively getting better each week, and I don't think that's going to change. I think he's going to continue his dominance of recently. I think their defense will do enough. It's going to be close, but I am going to take the Bears.
Yeah, I'm with you, Logan. I think Justin Fields has been spectacular these past 3 games, but it's really been the defense that has let him down in all these 3 games in this 3-game losing streak. So I'm going to take the Bears in this one. I think that Justin Fields is going to do enough on offense that the Bears don't have to do too much on defense for them to win this game against the Falcons.
Next, we have the Cleveland Browns at Buffalo Bills, with Buffalo coming off one of the most interesting endings I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, Josh Allen's injury obviously held him back a little bit, I think, when he played the Vikings this week. But it's still the Bills. They're probably the biggest Super Bowl contender in the NFL right now, if not the best team, right up there with the Vikings, who they lost to on Sunday. So I'm going to take the Bills. The Browns is the Browns. I'm going with the Bills.
Yeah, Josh Allen has had 2 interceptions in the past 3 games, but it's the Browns defense, and I think that they're just way too good of a team to keep this bad streak up. So I'm going to take the Bills, and with their defense only improving, hopefully improving, they will win this game against the Browns.
Finally, now with their first loss of the season, we have the Philadelphia Eagles at the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, sometimes you need a loss like that to wake you up a little bit. I didn't expect them to lose, but they did lose. I think the refs' calls kind of had a little bit of an impact in that. But I think that the Eagles losing will wake them up, and they'll come back to life and rebound against the Colts. I think Jeff Saturday's win on Sunday was a little bit of a fluke because they're playing the lifeless Raiders, and I don't know how that's impressive, but everybody seems to think just because he has one win that he's going to continue to win. But I guess we'll find out Sunday. I'm going to take the Eagles.
Give me Jonathan Taylor and the Colts to upset the Eagles again for the second week in a row. Jonathan Taylor rushed for over 150 yards last week against the Raiders. I know their defense is nothing like the Eagles. However, the Eagles' defense is missing Jordan Davis, a run-stopping, big defensive lineman. And I think that they get upset for a second week in a row as they overlook this, and it could be a trap game.
Next, we have the New York Jets at the New England Patriots for an AFC East matchup.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Patriots here. They've won the last 13 straight against the Jets. I think that's going to continue. They already won recently this year against the Jets on the road, and this game's going to be at home, so it's going to be tough for the Jets to go into Foxborough and win this week, so I'm going to take the Patriots.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Patriots too. Like Logan said, they've won 13 straight against the Jets, and Bill Belichick, such a great coach that he knows to game plan against the Jets no matter who they have out there. He can stop whoever they have. Jack Jones, that rookie cornerback, has been locked down on defense, and Matthew Judon has 11.5 sacks. He's going to get after Zach Wilson, who's having a really tough year this year.
Next, we have the LA Rams at the New Orleans Saints. Logan, who you got in this one?
Yeah, obviously both teams haven't looked good recently, but the Rams are losing Cooper Kupp this week, and I think that's going to be a pretty big deal. I think that they're the team slumping the most. I picked them last week to win, but they're just losing momentum if they ever had any, and they're having more injuries pop up. So I'm going to take the New Orleans Saints in this game.
I think that the Rams are missing more key pieces on their offense, as their offense only rotates around Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford might play this game. However, he was out last game with an injury. So they're clearly suffering, and their offense has not been good, even with Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp in the lineup. So I think they take the loss here.
Next, we have the Detroit Lions at the New York Giants. Who do you have?
Yeah, the Lions haven't been able to win a close game all year. I don't think that's going to change on Sunday. I think Saquon Barkley is too much for them to handle, and I think they'll pull out a close win against the Lions.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you, Logan. The Lions' defense has been terrible this year, giving up more than, 20 points per game. And the Giants' defense, offense has Saquon Barkley, as you said, and I think he went over 150 yards last week. So give me the Giants trampling over the Lions' defense in what should be an offensive game.
And I can sort of expect what is going to come out of this one, but it is the Carolina Panthers at the Baltimore Ravens. Logan, who is your pick in this one?
Yeah, it's the Ravens. That's pretty plain and simple to me.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Ravens, but not only am I going to take the Ravens, I'm going to take them by 20 points. All right, this Ravens defense is new and improved with Roquan Smith. They're getting David Ojabo, and in the coming weeks, they're getting Marcus Williams back, who is still top 10 in interceptions, so they'll be very good.
Our final 1 p.m. game is the Washington Commanders at the Houston Texans.
Yeah, Washington pulled off a very impressive win against the Eagles. They stopped their undefeated streak. Taylor Heineke is playing pretty well, and Chase Young will be coming back this week, so that will only improve the Commanders going into this game, and I think they're going to win.
Yeah, I'm agree with you. I got the Commanders going and taking the win. I think that they're better off with Taylor Heineke at the quarterback position, and the Terry McLaurin really broke out last game against a great Eagles secondary, probably the best secondary in the NFL with Darius Slay and James Bradbury. I think the Washington gets it done against a very bad Texans defense.
Moving into our 4 p.m. slate of games, we have the struggling Las Vegas Raiders at Denver Broncos for an AFC West matchup.
The Broncos have the lowest points against in the entire NFL. And I saw if they only scored 18 points in each game, they'd actually be 8-1 right now. So if their offense picks it up whatsoever against the lifeless Raiders, they're going to easily win this game. And I think they're a lot better than their record says if their offense starts to get it going. But I do think the Broncos are going to take this game.
I'm going to go with the Broncos too. Patrick Surtain is going to lock up Davante Adams easily, like he did the game earlier in the season where he locked down Davante Adams as well. Now, Josh Jacobs has been really good in the run game, which is why this offense has been better than most in recent years, as their defense has let them down heavily. But I have to agree with you. I'm going with the Broncos.
We have the Dallas Cowboys at the 8-1 Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, like I said before, the Vikings are probably one of the most underrated teams I have ever seen in the NFL. They went into Buffalo last week. They pulled away the win, a comeback win. It's one of the most dramatic finishes I've ever seen to a game. But I do think the Vikings are going to win, and I think that the Cowboys are a little bit overrated, but I'm taking the Vikings.
I think Dak Prescott comes out here and shows everybody why he is a top 15 quarterback. He hasn't really been playing like one. And I think CD torches the secondary of the Vikings in a route to a win.
For an AFC North matchup, we have the Cincinnati Bengals at Pittsburgh Steelers, who seem to be thriving off the return of TJ Watt.
Yeah, you already know who I'm taking. I think people don't realize the impact TJ Watt truly has on the field. You could see it immediately as soon as he got out there the other day. As soon as he got on the field, the stadium went crazy. I was there. You could feel the energy. I really think the Steelers are going to win this game. I know Ryan doesn't like the pick because he's a Ravens fan, but his opinion obviously doesn't matter. But I do have to say the Steelers are going to win this game. And we already beat them once with Jamar Chase this season, so it's going to be even easier to beat them this time without him. Minkah might be coming back this week also, so the Steelers are going to win this game.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that last week they played the Saints, who have been depleted by injuries, who have had their starting quarterback missing and have a bunch of other injuries on the offensive line, which is why the Steelers were able to get after the quarterback in Andy Dalton. However, I think they do lose here to the Cincinnati Bengals. Without Jamar Chase, it doesn't matter. Minkah Fitzpatrick's health is uncertain as of right now. He might play, but he's still not healthy enough where he's 100%. So give me the Bengals over the Steelers.
For our Sunday night football game, we have an AFC West matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs at the Los Angeles Chargers. Logan, who's your pick?
I'm taking the Chiefs. They already beat them once this season, so I think the Chiefs are going to win again.
Yeah, the Chargers really they might not have their one receiver or two receiver, Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. Giving the Chiefs easily, the Chargers are depleted by injuries.
For our Monday night football, we have the San Francisco 49ers at Arizona Cardinals.
Jimmy Garoppolo, in my opinion, has been playing way better recently. I think that's going to continue. I think the 49ers are going to pull away with this game behind Christian McCaffrey in their offense.
Yeah, I think the 49ers are going to pull away as well. They just have too much offensive firepower for the Arizona defense, and the Arizona offense has not been living up to expectations as recently. So give me the 49ers over the Cardinals by a score of 24-20.
And because there's an even number of differences in this week, we are trying a new tiebreaker to see how many points will be scored in the Monday night football game. So, Logan, how many points do you think will be scored in this game on Monday?
I'm taking 28 49ers, 14 Arizona Cardinals.
I'll go 24 49ers to 20 Arizona Cardinals.
And that'll wrap up our NFL Pick'em segment this week on Plead Your Case. Stay tuned for more sports content right here on Plead Your Case.
last night, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred received a letter from Pete Rose saying that he should be in the MLB Hall of Fame again. And today on Plead Your Case, we will debate that topic. And Meg, I'm going to start with you. Just overall, do you think he should or should not be in the Hall of Fame?
No, I don't. Definitely do not. He made his mistake. He was betting on games he shouldn't have been betting on. And it's a rule in the MLB rule guide that states that owners, managers, coaches, and players, anybody involved in any type of team, should and will not bet on any baseball or softball related sports. They can bet outside of that on like the NFL and NHL, things of that nature, but they cannot bet on baseball and softball. So he knows that rule. He's a manager of a team. You know that. So why even risk it? Why risk your career and bet on teams, especially your own team when they're playing games? So I don't think he belongs in the Hall of Fame.
I agree. He was a very cocky manager and player. I mean, just to list some accolades about Pete Rose: NL MVP, 3 batting titles in his seasons, 3 World Series, and he leads the MLB all-time in hits with 4,256. And with that, Tyler, do you think Pete Rose should or should not be in the Hall of Fame?
Look, I think that the betting isn't a great look for him. When you mess with the integrity of the game, it's a bad look for the sport just overall. But I think the findings that they had against him betting only go back to 1987, just pretty much towards the end of his managing career. He doesn't really even need the managing career that he had to get into the Hall of Fame. He could have gotten into the Hall of Fame just based off of the numbers he put up as a player. And since the betting didn't really start until the end of his career in the MLB, I think that he should be let in just because of what he did as a player. Now, I know the steroids and stuff in the Hall of Fame too is also another big question. Like, a lot of guys who use steroids at the back end of their career aren't in. Like, you look at a guy like Barry Bonds, who had a great career, and then he was found using steroids towards the end of his time in the MLB. He's probably not going to be a Hall of Famer. So I think if you look at kind of the way the Hall of Fame has operated, it's just been a bunch of confusion pretty much with should people get in, shouldn't people get in, and how the committee votes to put people in the Hall of Fame. It's a big mess, but I think based off of what Pete Rose has done before the gambling suspicion happened, and then them finding the evidence of him gambling, I think he should get in just based off of what he's done before that.
Not saying that I agree with anything that you said, because everything that you said is wrong in every which way or form, because he shouldn't be in the MLB Hall of Fame. But nonetheless, you bring up a good point about the steroid usage. And steroid usage and the Hall of Fame has been a very big topic among all of the decades that baseball has been around. As you know, players in the 50s and the 60s have been using steroids, or have been using steroids, but they're still in the MLB, still in the Hall of Fame. But nonetheless, Tyler, you have to look at just how the betting part of that takes a hold in that. I mean, Calvin Ridley, not that big of a scale, but got suspended a whole season just because he bet on one game. And this guy was doing it however many seasons that he was a manager. Granted, 1987 and 1989, nonetheless, but it's just not a good look, especially, throughout the whole MLB integrity, like you said.
Yeah.
And my whole thing on top of that is, like, it's still your career. You're still a part of the MLB organization. You're still a piece of that organization. And I feel like all of that goes into effect when they're deciding whether or not you should be in the Hall of Fame. Any time that you are associated with the MLB, that goes into whether or not you should be in there. So he was associated when he did the betting, and he was wrong for doing that. And I think that that's pretty clear that he should just not be allowed in the Hall of Fame, because he was associated, he was a part of that organization, and that tainted his record because of it.
No, I mean, I don't disagree, but I just think as a whole, when you look at the Baseball Hall of Fame, it's just been all over the place in recent years, with players using steroids and being in the Hall of Fame, and then other players who have also used steroids not being voted into the Hall of Fame. It's just a mess. Both steroids and gambling both impact the integrity of baseball and the numbers and the history of the sport. But again, I think the findings that they found in the 1987 season, That's just late in his career, and I think you take that part out and you look at everything else he's done, no matter who he is as a person, I think the numbers speak for themselves, and that's why I think he should be put in.
Well, speaking of him being a person, he's not really much of one. He is a psychopath on and off the field. In 2005, he released a reality TV show with him and his wife, trying to get his image back and trying to make light of the situation. And it just, all in all, Pete Rose is the epitome on what baseball is and isn't. Let me explain on that. He is the model, the prototype, as you should say, as a baseball player. But if you look into his personality and the integrity of the game, that also, in my opinion, brings a very big value into that Hall of Fame proceeding. I mean, you have to be a player, a teammate, and, in my opinion, just an all-around great person. I mean, Alex Rodriguez won't be in the Hall of Fame because he used steroids and lied about it, first of all, and it's just not a good look for the game. I mean, Megan, what are your thoughts on that?
And like you said, it's not a good look. Like, let's think back. Like, even if we forget about all the steroids, all of that, if we're only focused on betting, let's think back to way back with the Black Sox case, when that all happened, when they rigged the World Series so that they would get money. All of them were taken out of the major leagues. None of them were allowed to play baseball ever again. The only person who was allowed was Shoeless Joe Jackson, because he was not giving money. He just knew about the situation. But right then and there, they were taken out of the league. They weren't allowed to play in the minors or the majors, so that ruined their career forever. And it was just betting on a 7-game series. That was it.
Tyler, final remarks.
I mean, I guess just going off of that, then I guess you could probably make a similar case for the Astros and what they did when they cheated. Obviously, they weren't fixing games, but they were helping to put their players in better positions. They helped their players kind of know what to expect next. And I think if you're talking about like fixing the games and then removing the players, and I think then that's something that we should have saw with the Astros. And most of those guys, whether they were a part of it or not, they knew about it. We saw the consequences, but should some of them actually been removed? I just think baseball as a whole, it's confusing, and I think it's really just based off of opinion, and I would just like to see a bit more fine line in what the consequences, suspensions, and all that is throughout the MLB.
Overall remarks for me, never cheat to win. But that's all we have for our second segment. For our third segment, we'll be talking about coaches' challenges and whether they're right or wrong.
You're watching WCTV, where we aim to bring you the best local coverage of what you care about most. Everything from local businesses to hometown sports and the latest weather. We're keeping up to date with what you need to know about issues that affect our campus and our community. We're telling the stories that matter, celebrating our past, our future, and our potential. So tune in for all the latest buzz right here on WCTV Channel 14, Waynesburg.
Our last segment here on Plead Your Case is going to be a look into coaching challenges in the different major league sports. And guys, first off, we're just going to start with the NFL. The main part of the challenge, you get a challenge flag, throughout the whole game, but challenges are not allowed in the final 2 minutes of each quarter, or I should say the final part of the game. Nonetheless, Megan, what are your thoughts on just overall the NFL challenge rule?
I feel like this rule, especially the last 2-minute rule, is just as touchy as the old overtime rules used to be, with winning of a flip of a coin, and we know that those rules have recently been changed. But I think it's a little touchy. Personally, you can win a game in the last 2 minutes because a call was missed or it was a bad call and you can't oversee it. So I think it's a little touchy, but I also see the side of it where they're not wanting to challenge every play that happens in the last 2 minutes just at a chance to win the game. So I see both sides of it, but I also understand that it could cause issues in some of these bigger games when it comes down to the final plays and there's a missed call and they can't overturn it.
I agree. And before you go, Tyler, I just want to build on that. It's just, especially if you lose the challenge and you cost a timeout, especially at that crunch time of the game, I mean, you lose a timeout, that's a big loss in your offensive scheme and defensive scheme, depending on what side of the ball you're on. But Tyler, moving on to you, what are your thoughts?
For me, it's really hard because I don't really see the NFL or other leagues kind of finding a way to make the rule better, like the coaches challenge. I think if you let coaches challenge plays in the final 2 minutes, I think you kind of lose that excitement, that fast pace. It then slows the game down, almost like when we see like basketball games, like especially in March Madness and all that. Like that last minute, it's probably at least 10 to 15 minutes. And I think we're on the MLB for games taking too long. You watch a college football game any Saturday now, the game takes almost 3 hours. It's kind of absurd how long the football games have started to drag out. And I think if you allow coaches to kind of stop the play in the final 2 minutes, I think you're going to lose excitement and only extend game time, which is one of like the biggest problems that I have with changing the rules. Is I don't think there's a better one out there or a better way to tweak it that would make it any better than it already is.
I like it. I like that insight, Tyler. Moving on to the NBA, we have a incident here where the Warriors and Cavaliers game, a moving screen call was missed on Klay Thompson to allow Stephen Curry to hit the 3 ball to win the game. And the NBA challenge rule, you must call a timeout prior to a free throw, change of possession, or a jump ball to replay the previous play to challenge. And Meg, just your overall thoughts on the NBA rule. Not much different from most of the other leagues around here, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's not much different like you said, but I agree with Tyler. Like that last minute in March Madness seems to last for like a good 20 because it's every single call. It seems like that is wrong because like those games, they get really close. They're big games to win. Obviously, you want to win the game. You want to do whatever you can to win the game. But challenging every single play gets a bit repetitive. Yes, I understand it's frustrating. Missed calls can make you lose a game or win a game. But I don't know. I just don't believe that there needs to be any changes to these rules.
No, I completely agree with you. I think missed calls and human error has been a part of sports history for forever, and it will continue to be a part of sports history until they can find a way to either replace humans with a robot or some type of machine that can accurately call these plays or call the penalties 100% every single time. There's been plenty of scenarios where referees have missed calls or referees have called something. Obviously, as a fan of a team, if that call doesn't go your way, yeah, you're going to be mad, and it might have cost you a championship or whatnot. But that's been something that's been going on for forever, and I think there's really no way for you to take the human error aspect out of it. The referees are human; they're just trying to do their job, and they're gathering evidence based off of what they see. And if they feel that they've seen something that should be allowed or should be penalized, then they're going to call it. And it goes back to the kind of the replay and the challenging system where they always look for evidence, like a lot of evidence, to completely overturn the call. Like there has to be a distinguished piece of evidence that clearly shows the referee made the wrong call. And you can't also take that out of the game because you can't just make a call on the field and then flip it because the coach challenged it. You need that evidence. And until technology really improves and stuff like that, or they find a way to get these calls 100% right, it'll be very difficult to take that aspect out of it.
I do like your argument, Tyler, I really do. But kind of a counterpoint to that, I like moving on to the next part of our segment as well. The MLB has done a great job at kind of not fixing, or I should say enhancing, their replay system. And there wasn't a replay system for over 100 years in the MLB. They just implemented it not too long ago, but they have 20 seconds after every play that they need to challenge, and everything goes to New York, in which I personally think is the best challenge call in all of sports because, I mean, umpires, to be honest, they do get the back end of criticism, should say, from baseball fans and baseball watchers all over around the world. I mean, umpires are the most chastised referees, in my opinion, in sports. To add that replay value to the sport, I think it just kind of enhances on what coaches need to do. And another point on that, the Milwaukee Brewers last season kind of found a loophole in that system where they called a mound visit before they needed a challenge to look at the play and see if they needed to challenge or not. But without the loopholes and the enhancements, Meg, what do you think about the MLB challenge rule?
I think the MLB challenge rule is perfect. Just like you said, how it gets sent to New York every single time. That right there is an unbiased opinion every single time it gets sent to New York. It is a person who is not involved in the game. It's not an umpire. It's not a coach. It's not a player. It's nothing like that. It is sent to an unbiased opinion. And I think that is the best way to get the correct answer. And I also think that the way that they have it set up is not speeding up the game, but it's helping the game. The MLB has really been struggling recently with bringing this game back to life, and I think if you try to change these rules or add new rules to challenges and make more challenges available, I just think it'll slow down the game, and that is not what the MLB is trying to do right now. They're trying to pick up the pace of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only disagreement I have with that is the call goes back to New York or Toronto for the NHL, and it's an unbiased opinion. It's a guy sitting there watching the game, but you still have to go with the call on the field. You know, you need that substantial evidence to overturn a call. You can't just overturn it because a coach challenged it, you know? So it's tough where, yeah, you get the unbiased factor, the emotions kind of out of it because they're not standing there on the field, but they still need that evidence to overturn it and to say, yeah, the referee made a clear and obvious error when making the call.
See, I do see where you're coming from, but I mean, at the same time, it's just more of like getting rid of that human error and making sure that the call is right, if you understand what I'm saying. It's just that unbiased opinion where you can, you brought up the technology and robots per se getting these calls right, but it's another human on the other side. So I mean, that's just my thing with that.
Well, I mean, like, if it's a bang play and the referee or the umpire on the field calls a runner out at first base, but when they go to look back at the replay is really close, but they can't specifically decipher if the first baseman had gotten the ball in the glove before the foot hit the first base bag. If there's still not that like clear and obvious evidence, then you can't overturn it, you know? So whether the fans believe the call was wrong or not, you have to go with what the umpire called on the field. So it's just hard to take that out of the replay system. You know what I'm saying?
But wouldn't that just discredit the overturn rule? That's what you're kind of alluding to.
Well, no, I mean, whenever you're sitting there watching the NFL on Sundays or the MLB, they need that clear and obvious error in the referee's judgment to make the call. You know, they need that clear evidence to flip the call on its head. I feel like what you guys are trying to say is, like, if they challenge it, then it goes to somebody unbiased and they can just kind of flip the call, you know? But you still need that clear evidence to completely overturn it.
But that's the point of the challenge.
And I wouldn't go that's far as what we're saying. We're just saying it's better that it goes to places like New York or Toronto because they're not directly involved in the game. So, yes, if it's not overturned, it's by the umpire's call or the referee's call. But if it is overturned, then it's overturned by an unbiased opinion who is not involved and they're present during the game.
Yeah, no, I get that. I just think that it's tough to I don't know. It's just tough to overturn calls just because the coach comes out and challenge it. You know what I'm saying? It's just tough. You still need that overall like clear evidence to make the final say.
Well, fair enough. Well, and guys, great arguments all around, all throughout all the segments. Glad to have you up here. But that's all the time that we have here on Plead Your Case. Don't go anywhere. Every Tuesday, right here on WCTV.
This has been a production of Waynesburg Community Television.